And we welcome you to match number 4 of this MLC Champions Open. The Kingsmen up against the UMMC Knight Riders. What is glorious conditions for cricket. Kingsmen winning the toss, opting to bat first. Pretty placid track. Should be a high-scoring encounter. Rusty Theron with new ball in hand. Shayan Jahangir and Chetan Bish in the middle. Good afternoon to you, Brian Walters.
Good afternoon, Nikhil. Rusty Theron, the former South African international, looking to bowl one of the more exciting youngsters in the U.S. setup, Shayan Jahangir.
This is interesting. No Tajinder Singh opening the batting for the Kingsmen after his 50 yesterday. So trying to give some others an opportunity, given what we've seen from him.
Well, he lit Prairie View alight yesterday. Took a liking to the bowling being offered to him, particularly from Brody Couch. And if I remember correctly, 23 runs coming from one Brody Couch over, most of that from his bat. So I think he's shown the selectors everything that they need to see, or the scouts. And I think I like the idea of being able to have as many players as possible be presented in front of these scouts well ahead of the selection process this coming weekend.
Pre-regulation field, deep mid-wicket, and deep third, 2 on the boundary for Rusty Theron. Can really increase that pace as he gets into a rhythm, but he is running into the wind, which can be a bit of a challenge, but he's such an experienced player. Rusty Theron, as you said, would have played for South Africa, but also played at the international level for the United States not too long ago. And he really does bring that experience and expertise when he does play in these tournaments. 18 one internationals, 18 T20 internationals, averaging 19. Skillful, to say the least. And in terms of the pace, Brian, he can definitely ramp it up.
He's slightly deceptive in that way. Doesn't sprint in, doesn't sort of come in and hit the deck hard, but he's deceptively quick. And I've seen him on certain particularly helpful pitches be able to generate a fearsome amount of lift. He's a tall man, around 6'3" or so, and able to generate a certain amount of lift when he bends his back and puts the effort ball into play.
In the air, there is a man there, but it doesn't carry. And so far, they've done well, the UMMC Knight Riders. Remember, both these teams won yesterday on day 1 of this MLC Champions Open. So by the end of this game, we will have just one team being undefeated in this tournament after 2 matches.
You mentioned that he's bowling from the end where ordinarily he'd be running into the wind. The wind has slowed down a lot from this morning, so those elements will not be as difficult this time around.
Nicked, but past the keeper. Made a good effort diving to his left, Jaskar Malhotra, but couldn't hold on. First boundary coming off the bat for the Kingsmen.
Genuine outside edge. Just a good delivery from Rusty Theron, having him lean forward. Chetan Bish, that angle from over the wicket, slanting it across the left-hander, and it reaches forward and only succeeding in finding the outside edge. Had there been a first slip there, that man might have been in play. But no slip, and third man was entirely too wide, so that runs away for the first boundary of the day.
Work to be done for both these teams. It's going to be hard work for the bowlers, especially the seam bowlers on this track. We had 400 runs being scored in less than 40 overs in game number 1, if you missed it, where the Atlanta Fire easily chased down 200 within 18 overs. So if that's anything to go by, should be a pretty dominant batting display. It's the second day we're using pitch number 2, Brian.
I think it speaks to the quality of the work that has gone into these pitches. Really good to see that the pitch is held up, and having a look at it before this match started, just really no degradation whatsoever in the pitch.
Again, inducing that drive.
Going past the outside edge again. I've always spoken about that left arm, that right arm angle over the wicket to the left-hander. That slanted angle, which is one that, particularly if it's a full enough ball, draws the left-hander forward, but that ball always has the chance of either missing or kissing the outside edge. So Rusty Theron making full use of that exact angle here. Good bowling so far from him.
Again, operating on that fourth stump line, and he's had good success. Just the one boundary in the over conceded. End of 1, 8 for none. It really is a beautiful day now, Brian. This is the Houston weather I'm a lot more used to. The sun is out, even though they do have that stiff breeze still blowing pretty much from a northern direction across the ground.
Well, we have a saying here in Texas, not just in Houston, but in Texas. If you don't like the weather, stick around for a few minutes because it will change. And it's very likely to be, at this time of the year, it's as likely to be 90 degrees as it is 40. And it really is just whatever you wake up that morning and whatever the weather gods want the temperature to be. But I like the conditions that are here right now. The batting side will love it. The sun has been beating down on the pitch for the last several hours. And conditions, I think, are such that the batters will really enjoy batting on the surface. Obviously, 400 runs scored in the morning's match gives you some indication of what you can do with the bat if you apply yourself.
Now, this is interesting. Yesterday, we saw Justin Dill bowl from the southern end, running into the wind. He bowled 4 overs consecutively running into the wind. Did very well as well. Only went for the 22 runs in his spell. Sorry, 24 runs in his spell and picked up a wicket in his 4 overs. Now, though, he's switched ends. So he has the wind at his back. Misfield, so it does allow them to get through for the single. I think that's a great option for the scouts to see in terms of how these players react in different situations. Yesterday he showed that he's capable of running into the wind. How does he have it, and how does he react with the wind sort of pushing him towards the crease?
I think that's exactly right. He's the type of bowler who can come in and hit the deck hard. Bowls a very heavy ball, and you expect him to be back of a length and generally very accurate right around off stump. Being asked to do a little bit different here with the left-right combination, now bowling to the left-handed Chetan Bish. Shan Jahangir, his partner on the other end, 3 from 3. Chetan Bish 5 from 4 with that fortuitous edge through the third man, or at least wide of the keeper for 4.
Getting some extra bounce there.
That's what I expect from Justin Dill. That good hard length, and that ball took off after pitching. Captain and keeper Jaskaran Malhotra taking that ball about chest height, which is what you love to see on these pitches.
Yeah, good carry. Of course, tomorrow a day off for the tournament, and then we resume on Wednesday and Thursday. And of course, all leading up to that draft on Sunday evening. The Major League Cricket's first ever draft. Not something you want to miss, because all these players will have an option to be picked. Good innovation. He was just getting a bit bogged down, Chetan Bish. Just opened up that onside. No fielders behind square on the boundary, so first boundary for him.
Very interesting. Very early in the piece. Typically don't see a scoop shot in the third or the second over of a match. And walking across and picking that ball up from probably a 4th or 5th stump line. He walked all the way across and opened his body up and scooping that over that fielder, short fine leg. It runs away for 4. His second 4, the first, let's call it the first intentional 4 that he's had. First one came off the edge. This one scoops down the fine leg for boundary.
No field adjustment. Is a packed offside field. He's got that slip in place. Point, cover, extra cover, mid-off, all in the circle. Thought I heard a noise there for a second. Thought he got in it. He's lived dangerously, Chetan Bish. Couple of deliveries in the last over against Rusty Theron. Went past the outside edge. Now Justin Dill.
What a great delivery. Again from around the wicket. Angled in. You see here, it pitches and leaves him. What a great ball. And in fact, it swung after passing the bat. So the humidity in Houston always going to be able to have that extra swing if you have the ability to swing it. Justin Dill finding that ball, doing things that he likes.
Yeah, he's using the angle well. You see how wide of the crease he's bowling, Justin Dill? Almost touching that popping crease. And because of that, it angles the ball in and allows it to just straighten off the seam. This is a good display of bowling from both ends. First Rusty Theron, now Dill.
And the ability to have that ball leave the batter is such an important part of being able to bowl around the wicket. I've always said over the wicket is better, but the one excuse or the one exception to that for me would be if you can have that ball leaving the batter from around the wicket.
Swing and a miss. He is so skillful, Dill. One that you want to watch as this MLC Champions Open continues. End of 2 overs, 13 for none. Brian Walters, you know I like to put you on the spot.
Of course.
Which player has been sort of the favorite to watch in these 4 teams? About 60 players to choose from. Who's really stood out the most to you?
Yes, you put me on the spot. I'm going more off of what he did yesterday than what he did today, but I love how Corny Dry bowled yesterday morning. He is the stereotypical fast bowler, hits the deck hard. When he bends his back and gives you the effort ball, that ball is whistling by the face of the batters, and that's like what you like to see. As Rusty Theron continues, great delivery that goes past the outside edge, but didn't have as good a time with it this morning. Was relatively expensive, went for double figures in terms of his economy rate. But once he gets it right, I think he's going to be one of the bowlers who consistently is able to trouble the batters. Even in T20, which is typically a batter's game, I think Corny Dry is somebody who I'm very, very happy to see. I'm very happy to say that he's one of the ones that I look for as one of the more impressive ones to so far show his wares.
Timed it well. And Unmuk Chan will be disappointed, but it shows you how well he's hit it. Shayan Jangir. Chan got a hand on it, but couldn't stop it. Into the boundary for 4.
Unmuk Chan feeling there at mid-on, just looking at the way that the ball skipped across the carpet just before it got to Unmuk Chan. It was a bit of an awkward bounce, and so it bounced additionally and hit Unmuk Chan maybe on above the wrist. And you see him holding that right hand. That ball probably struck him in an uncomfortable position. Certainly not able to keep that from going over for 4.
Yeah, Rusty Theron, with this extra pace he's been able to generate, has done an extremely good job in the power play. You look at his performance yesterday, only conceded 11 runs in his 2 overs bowled inside the first 6. And today, just 12 runs conceded from his first 9 deliveries. But he has to close out well. Just always very straight and attacking on the stumps. Doesn't give you a lot of loose deliveries early on to play with.
Completely agree. And what additionally made that ball so effective to Shayan Jahangir was that it moved in a bit off the seam, pitching around middle and off, and then danced inward and struck Shayan Jahangir on the thigh pad. So that's good bowling by Rusty Theron.
This time goes past the outside edge. The previous delivery was very straight, angling in. This one just nips away. This is a stellar bowling performance from the UMMC Knight Riders so far. But remember, the Kingsmen only got to 20 runs in their first 2 overs yesterday, then were able to really go on the attack. So I don't think they'll mind just acclimatizing to conditions and seeing exactly how the surface plays before they begin to attack. You can hear the thud off the pad. It tells you how quickly he's bowling. Definitely one of the faster bowlers we've seen in this tournament. And also remember, Brian, the surface is placid, so he's had to really bend his bat and put in that extra effort.
Absolutely. And speaking about how the surface is playing, somebody like Shayan Jahangir, who plays his cricket right here in the Houston area, would have been very, very comfortable with the way, in terms of familiarity, as far as the surface is concerned. So I expect that he'll be the one who will be on the attack more quickly, even though up against 2 very skillful bowlers. You see if there's any sort of mistake in line or length that Shayan Jahangir is able to capitalize on it. Now let's see what Chetan Bish can do.
Well, that's becoming a common trend. Beating outside the off stump for Chetan Bish. So far, a slow start for him. Just 9 from 10 deliveries. End of 3 overs. The UMMC Knight Riders will be happy with that. 18 for none.
18 for none inside the power play, and Nikhil, you'll certainly accept that if you're UMMC. A run a ball inside the power play. These two skillful opening bowlers, Calvin Savage and Rusty Theron, make that Justin Dill, my apologies, and Rusty Theron, really good start. 3 overs up, just going at a run a ball. Justin Dill now back into the attack for his second over.
Through cover, slapped. Boundary for Jahangir.
Well, a little too short and a little too wide. So I mentioned that there's not much room for error, and if you make a mistake, Shine Jahangir is the kind of player who will cause you to pay for your mistake. And this ball was too short and too wide. Clearly still inside the power play, so no protection out there sweeping on the offside. So Justin Dill needs that ball to be much closer to the batter, much straighter, and certainly a touch fuller than that last one.
Oh! That has gone very far. Cheyenne Jahangir is a no-nonsense man. And with the wind as well, helping it go that extra distance.
Oh, my goodness. He was ready for that ball to be straighter to him, obviously. And then he advances down, but he also walks over to the offside to access the leg side. And absolutely blasting that one. That's a huge 6, probably the biggest 6 that we've seen so far today. Cheyenne Jahangir feeling comfortable so far. And unfortunately, we have another slight delay because when that ball goes in that open area, which eventually will be another cricket field, I think, but as of right now, it just represents open prairie, if you will. Cheyenne Jahangir doing exactly what you expect him to do as a person who plays his cricket right here and is comfortable with the